Rael from Kenya. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good, and it's not morning, it's evening.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I won't be long. I will let you present yourself. Take your time
Mhm,
and share
mhm.
with us everything that you want to share with us and let us know, learn from you. And if there's any type of question, I will take care of it because I want you to focus on your presentation. So that's it
All
for
right.
me. I will let you alone. I'm going to hide myself, have fun, and talk to you soon.
Sure thing. 1 second. Um, so welcome. My name is Rael Mugambi, and I have the honor of bringing to you the topic around the future of of PMOs. So I have been a project manager and program manager for the past 17 years, and I've had the opportunity to work with several organizations within East Africa and the greater region, within the technology space and also telcos. I've had the also awesome opportunity to build 3 PMOs in this space. So it's been awesome journey over the past 17 years. So let's jump right into it. So as I said earlier, I will be speaking about the future of PMOs, and I will be starting with 4 different sections. Here in East Africa, it's evening, so some of us are tired. For those who are starting out on the other regions, so it's afternoon. So I hope you can keep up. It will not be death by PowerPoints. So my agenda, or what you expect to see during this presentation, is starting with item number 1, which is our evolution, how the landscape has changed around business and around projects, the current role of the PMO, and many speakers have talked about this during the day. So I'll just be chiming in terms of what the current role is, and then what needs to change, and finally, what you're here for, the future of PMO. So a great woman once said, Maya Angelou said, that we cannot really know where we are going until we know where we've been. And that is why I start with a segue that is our evolution. So when I look at evolution, as I said, we're looking at it through 2 lenses, that is business and projects. Looking at business, I want to look at it through 3 lenses. That's the first one being people, processes, and tools. And coming closer home around people, uh, at the beginning of the 20th century, customer has always been called king, has been right. And as we look at business, there's a lot of focus on customer. What does the customer need? Many organizations are talking about being customer centric. The people who are delivering for this customer are also changing. Millennials, such as myself, have joined the workforce. Gen Zs are here also supporting this customer. So there's a lot happening within that space. When we look at processes, a lot of organizations are going through a lot of change. They're optimizing their processes, they're looking at their structure. And why are they doing all this? It is because of the bottom line. The previous speakers are talking about generating value. The bottom line is money for the organization, for the customer, and for their businesses. On the last component, which is my last lens, is around tools. And tools are important with the emergence of AI, big data, all this scientific, technological advancements come about to make sure that we improve our turnaround time. And there's a lot of focus on us being agile and adaptable. And a lot of speakers have talked about being agile and adaptable in this space, not by the methodology, but the way we do things. So what has also evolved closer home for those who are project managers, a lot has changed. The first documented PMO was set up in 1930s. The 1930s, and that was the American COP that was in charge of supporting the support efforts that the Air Force was having at that time during the First World War, which ended in 1945. Their role was rudimentary, just trying to get data from here and there from the different projects and guide how project implementation is done. There was no methodology at that point, but fast forward to 1960s, 1970 period, we had the first framework and different organizations such as PMI coming into place. We have the emergence of the waterfall, which is what we would call step-by-step process that Wilston Rice came up with. And his vision was, as a developer, was how to optimize and deliver projects, starting with understanding, picking the requirements, understanding those requirements, designing for that requirement, what does the customer need, going into the build process, and then after that, being able to test and give this solution to the customer. But the challenge that they were having at that point was they started seeing that projects were taking too long. This bridge that you're building is taking 2 to 3 years. It's taking quite long. And with that, as we come towards the end of the 20th century, we see other frameworks coming into place. One of them is Prince 2, which was coined by the government within the UK, that is primarily used currently by the government, still used by the government and other institutions such as the UN. And why they picked up this, they wanted to make sure that projects are in controlled environment, understanding, and one of the speakers, Cleo, earlier spoke about starting with the business case and then understanding the different roles of the different people in the project, understanding the different gates that the project needs to have, management by exceptions, management by stages, and this worked very well during that time. Fast forward to we had different other engineers sitting down, 17 engineers who came up with the Agile Alliance, just sitting down and trying to see how can we optimize this project delivery. And they came up with what we call the Agile Manifesto. And several conversations have been taken earlier today, and we've even heard about how to have Agile PMOs and all. So around this, the focus became on certain ways to look at the project in a way that we are able to generate value. And that is the manifesto. It is based on frameworks such as Scrum and Kanban. And it's more about how do we pick this need that the customer have and turn it around faster in a more iterative delivery. And key organizations that we've heard about today, and some of them that we know about, such as Google, Apple, Facebook, who are currently known as Meta, currently are using these solutions. Fast forward to the 21st century, a lot has also changed in this space. We are seeing that there is the emergence of hybrid, and one of the speakers earlier today was talking about organizations that have taken this solution up in terms of an approach, and closer home to Adapt IT is currently using this to deliver solutions for their customers. And from the previous submissions, I was happy to hear organizations such as Spotify and Job Hopkins have also picked this up, so which is very insightful. Hybrid is a methodology that takes into consideration the first methodology, which is waterfall, and merges it with agile delivery, starting with thinking about the planning phase and the requirement phase being planned out very well in a more systematic waterfall kind of stages, and then picking up in the development stage, having this iterative kind of build process that would go from taking the requirements, design for it, build it, test it, deploy, and repeat and repeat. So here at Adapt IT and all these other different organizations that I've mentioned are beginning to pick that in the 21st century. So having understood how the journey has been and how we've evolved, let's look at the current role of the PMO, what I call and coined the control tower. So as I look at the role of the PMO, I look at it in three different lenses. They are to do certain things. The first one is they are to support and deliver projects. They're the delivering arm for the organization on key mandates that they would have. Second thing is they maintain and enforce processes and policies and standards on the craft, on how things are done. And the third one is to grow the talent that sits within the PMO. Those are the project managers, project coordinators, who are the foot soldiers of the PMO. So we've talked about what we currently are, but let's think about it. One of the speakers said, change is the only constant, and it is the truth. Many organizations, as I said earlier, have taken time to think about where they're going as entities. And based on McKinsey's report in 2022, their focus was around what the organizations are doing. And from this lens, it helps those who are sitting within PMOs, starting out PMOs, see what you need to do as you look at the future of the PMO. So many organizations have started looking at their purpose and the key vision for their entities. They're looking at culture, they're looking at the value they're generating, the bottom line. And why are they looking at this? Because this is the foundation for the next two things: how they operate and how they grow. And when they think about how they operate, they're thinking about how their structure is. We keep on talking about agile deliveries. Many organizations are thinking about transforming the organization from big matrix organization to more agile organizations. The others are looking at how to optimize the talent that they have, because this is a scarce resource and that they've invested in, and using those resources to make sure that they have value for their entities. The third thing that they're trying to do is be able to use the data that they have to make decisions based on the landscape that sits before them. Now, how they grow is also changing. They are looking at the ecosystem. It's not just what is familiar. They're not just looking at the blue sea, they're looking at the Red Sea, and they're trying to understand what the lay of the land is. What is the competition doing? McKinsey's report here focuses on how many organizations have to optimize so that they would take the biggest piece of the pie. They are looking at data, and trying to see how to optimize the data that they currently have, trying to build platforms that can mine that data. And the last thing that they're trying to do is accelerate how they grow. So if organizations are spending this amount of time optimizing themselves, you who sits in the PMO, or you thinking about how you're setting up PMO, you need to have a shift in the way you think about how your organization sit. Starting with the first bit. The first Air Corp PMO was rudimentary, and theirs was just focused on project support. Current PMOs look at just the next components, which are they're looking at execution or projects. Other ones, based on the other conversations that we had earlier, would look at not just project implementation, but they're looking at being a center of excellence in terms of defining processes and tools that can be used within an organization to optimize their delivery. The other thing is PMO becomes that door you knock on so that you have help as a VBU, a business unit within an organization such as mine, so that you can be able to deliver on a certain project fast. When you do it the PMO way, you know you will succeed. But where do we need to go? Having sat in different conversations, we've seen the different levels of PMOs, and evolving your PMO is the next thing that you have to do as you sit as a leader there. Why? This is a Maserati of PMOs. You're not just looking at project support. You're not looking just at execution of projects for the sake of executing projects. You're not defining processes and tools that an organization can do. You're not just driving innovation. No, you are sitting in different conversation. You need to understand where the organization is going and aligning to that strategy in terms of how you help your organization meet the bottom line. What are those key KPIs that they need to achieve? The other thing that you have to consider about is agility. One of the famous things that I understand about PMO, I think because most of us have been structured in waterfall, is we are adverse to change. And the first thing we would like to say when someone approaches you with a new idea is, no, we need to be more agile. So if we are to be more agile, the biggest battlefield is in the mind. As PMO leaders, we have to consider how we approach this and how we position the PMO as we go into the future. You have to understand, one, the organization you're in. Who are these people? What is their culture? What drives them? And you understanding what the bottom line is for the organization or what drives them. And one person said that dollars and cents make sense for the leaders within your organization. Adopt to that. Think about it from that lens. Being agile and adaptable is the other component that you have to consider. You have to understand the lay of the land. We sit in different conversations that is very insightful. We work on the ground with the people that are doing the work. We sit in leadership conversation. We need to build synergies between, hey, the technology team is doing 1, 2, 3 things. Maybe you in the business unit can benefit from 1, 2, 3 from the technology arm. Be instrumental in building those bridges. Aligning to the strategy is one of the most important things that we have to do. In East Africa, we say on the ground, things are different. So you understand what is happening on the ground. You understand what is happening at this executive level. You need to see, having understood the goals and ambition of where your organization is going, is to align the leadership to what is actually happening on the ground. Where are we going? You are like the second commander of this ship and trying to steer it in the direction it should go. The other thing is you should be worth your salt. Support the organization. Give guidance. Give feedback in terms of this is what is happening on the ground and this is where we should go. Because you are looking at the map and seeing where you are going. You are the control tower. You're seeing the planes landing. You're seeing the planes taking off. You're seeing what operations are doing. Give the guidance that they need to make decisions. So we are looking at the future, and that's why all of you are here. What do PMOs need to be? The first thing that PMOs have to consider is you need to understand your role as you look to the future. You're not just a doer that I give you a list of projects for you to go forth and do. No, PMO leaders need to be sitting at the table. Strategic conversations are taking place. Be one of the people instrumental in helping them by providing them information that is useful for them as they mine the data that they currently have and give guidance to them. The other thing that you need to consider is the value that you need to give them while you're sitting on that table. You have to understand the projects that are in flight, what tools are there, what do these people want to see when they think about projects, what is the dollars and cents that they need. If that's what they understand, give them that so that they are able to make decisions. The insight and the data that will drive the organization forward when it comes to strategic direction of your entity. Number 3 is driving delivery. We've been mandated with a list, maybe 10, maybe 15 projects that we need to do within the financial year. You understand very well where all the foot soldiers are, how many projects are in flight. You understand the capacity of the organization. Give that information to inform the way forward. The other thing is support your organization in doing certain things, such as business prioritization. Let them understand that this is the number of projects and this is the capacity. Build up rubrics. Two of my organizations, I've supported them in building rubrics to be able to look at the different projects that we should do to meet where the organization needs to go. The second thing that you have to do sitting within the PMO, you might not be able to influence or make decisions around this, but being project managers, I believe we can have certain conversations with certain people to influence the positioning and the direction and the growth of the PMO. The first thing, and many speakers have talked about it before me, they've said we need to talk to having the PMO under a chief level, under executive sponsorship within the organization. Why is this important? As you're driving the mandate that the PMO has, you need to have sponsorship and someone who's backing you. Remember, we are a cost center, but we need to be able to win the other teams over as seeing the value that we could bring. The other thing that I highly recommend as you think about where you should position your organization looking forward, because I've had PMOs sitting within technology, I've heard about PMOs sitting within within different places. But I would actually recommend that we have PMOs sitting outside outside the delivery arm. So please endeavor to have your project outside the delivery arm. The other item that you need to consider is consider your project capacity within your organization. Understand the organization that you're building, because the face of the PMO is your project managers. And the support that the project manager needs is within the person sitting in the PMO. You need to review the capacity, know who these people are. Number 2 is we need to define tools and processes that these people will be empowered with as they go out and try to implement the number of projects that we've been given. Number 3 is we need to create career paths for these individuals. Why? Because it is important to support the growth of our project managers. We don't want the project managers to exist in one level. We want them to move from project managers to program managers and upwards. The fourth thing, and which is the second last thing, so that you know that we are almost at the end, is that we need to embrace automation. There's a lot of paper and pen that we've been seeing in PMOs, and the previous speaker was talking about the digital PMO, and which is what we need to focus on. A lot of teams are now distributed, and having Embracing of tools will help with collaboration and building synergies. For example, tools like Trello, Kanban will help us as we talk to different teams, and also using other tools and moving away from paper and pen. Using tools to run key processes within the PMO is important. Certain things like the rubrics I was talking about around project prioritization, benefit realization, and also resource distribution. Understanding the first thing, which is project prioritization. What score model does your organization use? I've given some recommendations. You can try out these tools and see if it works for you. I'll be happy to hear feedback in terms of how it ran within your organization. Benefit realization at the end of your project implementation, it will be important for you to look back and see, did we meet the bottom line, which is the project delivery? And this is important because we need to be generating value. We make sure that when we are running projects, we are not having overspending or going out of scope. Resource distribution is now on us understanding where all our people are, be it within the delivery team, within the PMO. We need to know, and so that it defines the capacity. The last thing is around embracing AI. And I think Cleo talked about this. We need to embrace AI in the things that we do to automate some of our processes, be it reporting, measuring our project progress in terms of the dollars and cents that we need to report back to the leadership team, and also mundane tasks that are transcribing notes and minute taking. The last item is creating a PMO is not an event. It is a continuous process. And it starts out with the rudimentary office that you might say you are doing just project support at level 1. But as you look forward, for those ones who are starting out and setting up frameworks around this, as you grow and your objectives increase, you will be getting more projects that are more within like a technology division. Starting out my career, I sat within the technology arm and I was given a list. These are the number of projects I needed to do. However, as the delivery within the technology arm started gaining traction and growing, what happened was a fully fledged PMO was put in a central place to standardize how projects are being delivered through the whole organization, which was a very good thing for the entity at that time. But where we need to play at as we look at the future of PMOs is level 4 and level 5. For us, we need to consider that we are being considered as sitting on the table, being part of those conversations that are linked to strategy, that are linked to driving the organization to the next frontier. Why is this important? Our objective has switched. We are talking strategy. We are talking about bottom line and improving, providing value for the customer and for the organization. So my key takeaways are 5. First, as you start on this journey, you need to understand the role that the PMO is and understand the organization you are in and what your role is. Your future role is not just be a doer. You are supposed to be implementing those projects so that you can generate value for your organization. Number 2, you need to position well. Where do you need to sit? You need to sit under executive sponsorship so that you are able to deliver for your business, deliver on your mandate. Number 3 is understand the resources that are in your care. Your project managers, understand their capabilities. They are your foot soldiers and the face of the PMO. Support them in their delivery, providing them tools and processes, training them. Earlier conversations were about what would you tell your younger PMO self, providing them mentorships, providing them certifications that they need to go for, challenging them, how they should grow in their craft. Number 3, embrace automation in the way we do things. It's the 21st century. Work has changed. We are no longer sitting in desks in the office. I know I'm sitting in the office, but we have different distributed teams across the globe. But this conference is being aired by AirMeet, which is a tool that is a collaboration tool. Embrace automation. And the last one is that setting up the PMO is a journey. It is not one step that I build it and it's ready to go and you move in. You have to think about the future of where the organization is. You will start out as project support, which was what someone called a Datsun or a tuk-tuk, and then you move to the next level, which is where you are looking at an all-size-fits-all, an ambitious organization, and then after that, you might be the Maserati of the future. So with that, I conclude my submission. Thank you. Let me stop sharing.
Thank you. Thank you, Rael. We have 5 minutes to go, but you have at least two or three questions for this presentation. The first one, I will begin here from Jerome McDonald. He says, how do you get your senior leaders to understand the value of PMO?
Wow, that is a very good question in terms of how you convince them to see the value of the PMO. And I sat with a couple of PMO leaders this past 3 weeks as I was preparing. And what they stated was something quite interesting, that when you start out as a PMO, you just need the one person that you would say that if I sit with the CTO and I explain to CTO, can I do certain projects for you? And you see that we are able as an organization to deliver this within the triple constraints,
Mhm.
it would be a game changer. So starting with the one person who's willing to take that challenge, and this one person being the CTO will go out and say, you know, I got this new person who's running, Joram, who's running my PMO and has managed to do these projects with me. And
Mhm.
I think we should adopt this across the organization. So start with that thinking in mind.
Great. So the second one, how to facilitate oriented cultural transformation.
Sorry?
How to
Oh,
facilitate value orient sorry, because I am a
yeah,
French
French.
speaker. Okay, how to facilitate value oriented cultural transformation.
So, and maybe I'll look at it in the lens of sitting within the PMO. When we talk about value-oriented culture transformation, you need to understand what makes sense for the organization. What do they define as the value? And you understanding what the value is will now be very clear in your mind. And you engaging within your organization, within the PMO, is to engage your PMs and see this is what it means for the business, your customer, who's the sponsor on the other side, as a value within. And by us, and one of the organization I worked with in, this conversation helped our project managers as they were engaging with the customers and them understanding that this is what makes sense for my VBU leader. My VBU leader wants to see 1, 2, 3 things and mentoring them on that. The other thing that we also did at that point was trying to explain to them how this value is achieved. So one of the things is I'm giving you a project. Here is project X. Please go look at it. And the other thing that I'll put next to this PM is, hey, sit with the person who came up with the business case to understand what are the key metrics that they're going to be tracking. By that, now the PM understands, okay, scope creep will mean this. Having more expensive resources will mean this. Me hiring a consultant will mean this, meaning I need to shift how I am resourcing my project. Having distributed teams and me seeing how to use collaboration and AI also will shift, because shipping people into, for example, Nairobi, Kenya is not cheap. So seeing how to adopt certain things in terms of automation will also guide. But it's the journey. You have to have conversations within your PMO to see where the organization is going to deliver value for them and be value oriented in terms of how you deliver.
Great. Last one, and we are going to end the session. Could you please share with us? Not, no, 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 no. I'm really. What is the best advice you can give to a young PMO?
Yeah, well, I would say um, it is an exciting role that you're getting into. And there are some certain things that you need to skill up yourself. You have to take time to know what is required of you as you are setting out in this capacity. Who do you need to uh, be around and shadow and learn? Because most of the things that you learn will be on the job. And the other thing that you learn is that is 70% of what you learn. 30% will be through books and you taking on certain courses, understanding this is the courses you need to do. So I started out as a scientist and now I segued into tech projects. So I had to see what are the things I need to learn. I need to learn how to to run projects through institutions like 1, 2, 3. I need to get certifications like PMP and Prince 2. And after that, I said, okay, I have my first degree. Can I get my second degree? And I went out and got my master's in project management. But it is through dealing with mentors and reaching out. And forums such as this give you an opportunity to reach out to someone on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm starting out. Can I please get 5 minutes of your time so you can guide me on the way I should go? So
Great.
leaning on mentorship and knowing how you'd go would be very, very important.
Thank you so much. That's it for today. We are going to thank Rael Mungambi. Thank you for sharing your insights on the future of PMOs. And I hope to see you next year because it was
Yeah,
very interesting.
I was looking
Thank you,
forward.
everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.